Better to have a short life that is full of what you like doing than a long life spent in a miserable way.
Ollie Wright, welcome to Footwork.
Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
Yes, very, very official today. Thanks first off to Knack Factory for this incredible studio. We have 4,000 cameras going on behind the scenes. The most official Footwork production, but it is Ollie Wright.
You're right, it is.
Now, our motto here at Footwork is make your own path. As someone who has hopped over the pond to forge a career for themselves, what does make your own path mean to you?
I think it means obviously plenty of different things. For me, wanting to be a soccer player was always my path that I wanted to take. It has taken a kind of long route, I guess. Obviously, my original aim was to go pro in England. It didn't quite work out, so like I say, I had to jump over the pond and go the collegiate route, and then kind of make the steps from there. But yeah, I would say that's the path that I've taken. Slightly different to, like I say, the conventional path back home, but it worked out, I guess.
And in order to get to know you a little better, for the listeners that don't know you, tell us, who are you, where were you, and where are you going?
So I'm Ollie Wright. I'm from London, England. I obviously now play for Portland Hearts of Pine. Where am I going? That's a good question, Sean. I'm kind of a happy-go-lucky guy. I kind of take things as they come. Obviously, I have ambitions with my soccer career to get to as high a level as possible. I'm not getting any younger, so it's not easier. But I feel like I've kind of landed on my feet where I'm at right now, and I'm happy with where I'm at. So yeah, like I say, I'm kind of just taking things as they come. I'm not someone that really looks too far into the future and has like a set plan. I'm kind of someone that takes it as it comes. So it's hard to answer that question, but that's what I'd say.
That's fair enough. And coming off your best season yet, I can imagine. Looking at statistics, a few personal accolades this year. How do you reflect on the season with the Hearts?
It's been incredible. It started off really slowly, and it was tough to adjust. I'm not too sure what it was that made it tough for me to adjust. But yeah, those first 8, 9, even 10 games was like, wow, okay, I really need to lock in here. You know what I mean? But yeah, like I say, towards the middle of the season, I kind of feel like I turned it on a little bit, and yeah, managed to end up with some good personal accolades. The team did really well. We were so close to winning it all. And yeah, I think it was just a special year, a roller coaster, but special.
Yeah, I mean, my question for you is, as the slow start that you had, was there anything that kind of clicked in your mind, or was it the relationship maybe you built with Messer or different players on the field that allowed you to perform? Because the last, from the summer on was incredible for me. So
I think for me, I've always been a confidence player. So, it was just a matter of getting that first goal for me, kind of turned things around, because I was like, okay, you're settled in now. You know what you're doing. You know you can perform at this level. Now you can. I kind of felt like I had more freedom. The problem is that when that goal doesn't come for so long, you feel like the weight on your shoulders is just getting heavier and heavier. So that was my big thing. I knew that as soon as I scored one, and I think I even said to you halfway through the season, I was like, if I score one, the floodgates are going to open. It was just a matter of getting that first one. But like I said, I'm a confidence player, so once I had that, I knew that I was going to be able to have a really successful season, both individually and as a team. I think also the team clicked around that point too. I think we started off pretty slowly. We weren't scoring a lot of goals as a team, and I think after 8, 9 games, we figured it out. Like you said, the relationships between players grew, and that in turn helped me and other individuals as well.
Yeah, I think one thing, just based on our conversations that we've had, especially in this where you're on like 1, maybe 2-year deals at the most, it's kind of in your head 10 games in, you're like, oh, I don't have a great season on my CV right now. Where am I going to be next? And I think for you, once you got that and you had that comfort, you were really able to perform. And I think that's for a lot of players. You kind of struggle with that.
Yeah, definitely. Especially being an international guy that's on a visa, I'm someone that wants to be in the US as long as possible. And like I say, the visa's contract to contract, so you don't know if you're even going to be in the country next season. So it is definitely something that's in the back of your mind. But like you say, once you do get that guarantee of next season's contracts, you kind of can take a deep breath and be like, okay, you're settled here. You've at least got another year. Now the pressure's off a little bit. And I'm someone that sometimes it's different for players. Sometimes players thrive under that pressure. I'm someone that kind of likes to have less pressure on me because I feel like I play more freely. But yeah, like I say, it's completely different player to player.
And as someone, a player, I mean, we've both seen it, that you're at your best when you're playing kind of with the cuffs off, where it's just like you're kind of playing in the park, it seems like. I think your best performances were very much that, where it was take the risk, and if it doesn't work out, you'll just win it back, and if it does, something's gonna pull off. How have you developed over your career and your college times or youth college to pro of the times where you're not really playing at your best? How do you instill that confidence in yourself to get to that point where you're playing freely?
Well, I feel like I'm a player that does have creative tendencies. So I always know that even if I'm playing badly, I feel like just one action that I do can change a game. So I'm always someone that when I'm playing with confidence, if I mess up 10 passes in a row, I kind of don't care. And I kind of feel like, okay, it's fine because the 11th pass we're going to score or something's going to happen. But like you say, on the flip side of that, if I'm playing without confidence and I mess up one pass, then I'm like, I don't even want the ball again because I'm like, I can't mess up 2 in a row. So it's just crazy how, like you say, confidence does change a player like myself's performances. But yeah, that's what I'd say. When I'm playing with confidence, it's hard to explain. I just kind of feel like it's okay, the next one's going to happen. And this season, luckily, that was the case.
And going off of that, let's talk about the first 2 years of your professional career were not great. You didn't play much, only appeared in a handful of games, didn't get many minutes. I believe you had an injury. How do you kind of push through those tough times and think, okay, whether it's the environment, it's the team, it's the situation, but I'm still a great player, I just need to get somewhere else, or I need to keep pushing so that at the end of this season, I'll be able to make a move to another team?
Yeah, that was really tough. The first year, not so much. I was a rookie. I was still in my college town of San Antonio, so I felt almost at home. And I would argue that year, we didn't win it, but I'd argue we were a top 2, top 3 team in the league. So I knew it was going to be tough to break into that squad. I did play, I think, 14, 15 games, something like that. So I still felt like a part of it. But it wasn't as hard as the next year. The next year at RGV, I got injured in pre-season. I only appeared in the last 4 games. So that was completely different because it was just something so out of my control. I couldn't prove to the coach that I should be playing because I couldn't walk. You know what I mean? So that was something that I'd never really experienced before. I hadn't experienced a long-term injury like that. I'd had 6 weeks or a month or whatever it may have been, but never 7.5 like that. So that was a completely different path that I had to take mentally. I think was the biggest thing. I had to kind of get my mind right. And I got lucky. I had a contact that I played with at San Antonio that became a sporting director at Huntsville City FC, which was where I went for year 3 and 4 of my career. And I think sometimes soccer is about who you know. And so he was able to, get me a contract there, which I could have quite easily not had a contract after those first 2 years. Like you said, I didn't play too much, didn't have great stats. I think I had maybe 2 assists total. And it's very easy for players that have those sorts of beginnings to careers for their careers just to fizzle out. I got really lucky, like I say, with Huntsville City FC, and then I feel like it's kind of gone up since there, and now here I am. But yeah, it's not guaranteed. And I say to players all the time that aren't playing, I'm like, you just never know. Especially on our team, we had a lot of rookies, and I say to them, like, you just never know. It's not a guarantee that you're going to be a pro for as long as you think you're going to be a pro. You know what I mean? There's so much luck that's involved, and I have got lucky. As much as I do rate myself as a player, there's so much luck that goes into it.
Yeah, you just see so many college kids who do great in college, have great ability, and they come here, and for whatever reason, the first coach doesn't like them, and then they never get another opportunity. Sure. But yeah, just kind of going back to your injury in RGB, like, can you kind of go into that experience? Because if we play long enough, we're all going to have some sort of serious injury. So what was that like for you, and how did you make the most of your time? I know the answer a little bit. You were in the gym a lot, getting upper body strength, things like that. But yeah, how did you take it forward then to when you got your opportunity in Huntsville?
Yeah, it was tough. The first few weeks was definitely really hard to get my head around because I was like, obviously I'd come off of the year with San Antonio, not playing too much, but really feeling like 2022 could be my breakout year. And so I had a good start to pre-season, and then the injury happened. I broke my foot, and it was just like it just felt like everything. The luck was just against me, But I spoke with family, spoke with friends. Teammates were great with me. Coaching staff was great with me, and kind of just kept my head on my shoulders, kind of thing. I was in the gym a lot. I was always I think the biggest thing that I did that year was I stayed present with the team. I stayed present with the community aspect of the club, and I tried to make myself as involved as possible so that I at least felt like I was part of it. And the coaches did notice that, and they were grateful for that. And I think sometimes players can, if they're injured, just stray away from it and just not feel a part of the team at all. But I definitely felt like I was a part of it. We had a lot of senior members on the team too that were going through injuries at different stages of the season, and they helped me through it. But yeah, it wasn't easy at all. It was definitely really tough. But I'm happy I went through it. And I know I spoke with my dad a lot during the time, and he would say to me, like, it's going to be a learning curve, and that's just so cliche. But now I look back at it, and it really was, because I feel like I can help players going through a similar thing now if they are ever in that situation, you know?
Yeah, it's so tough and isolating when you're injured, even if it's for a short time, because you feel almost like you're not part of the team, you're not contributing, but then also like with a win, you're like, I'm happy for my friends, my teammates, but also I'm missing out on it. If you're losing, you're like, we would have won if I was playing, that kind of thing. It's kind of the mental part of like being truly unselfish and just wanting what's best for the people around you and stuff.
And I honestly think that with a long-term injury like that, it was probably easier to be more positive, because if you're injured for 2 or 3 weeks and the team's winning without you, it's like, oh damn, I'm not going to be in the team when I'm back. But when you're out for 7 months, it's like, well, I'm not going to be back for ages anyway. We may as well win. You know what I mean? Yeah, we may as well win. So yeah, but like I say, that didn't happen straight away. It took a couple of weeks for me to really get into that mindset. And yeah, it was like you said, it's more like what you're missing out on. It's like, that would be great. The traveling with the team and yeah, that sort of stuff. But absence makes the heart grow fonder. Yeah, and so they say. You know what I mean? So they say. So yeah, now I love traveling. No, I'm joking. Yeah, right.
Yeah, a lot of card games.
A lot of card games. A lot.
I want to elaborate on that point about not distancing yourself from the team, because I think you see this at every level, especially for longer term injuries. It's very easy to kind of separate yourself from the team, and that in itself kind of, you distance yourself from the group as a whole. And then we've all played with players that become like depressed, oh, I don't want to play soccer anymore, and that's it. Whereas I think even if you show up, whether you're doing gym work while they're training, but you're in the locker room and you're leaving the locker room at the same time, I think that mentally, I can speak for myself when I had some bad injuries, that it kind of keeps you with the team, in the same rhythm as the team, that when you do come back, you're still in that same routine. Whereas you've seen players that you won't see them for a month. Yeah. And it's like, oh, nice to see you, but it's kind of this weird feeling when they come back because they feel like they're not part of the group anymore.
Yeah, I think it's really important at the end of the day, it's a job. Yeah. Whether you're playing or not, it is a job. So I think, like you said, it's really important to keep your head on and stay as part of the team as possible. Like I say, I would do a lot of stuff outside the field too, and like community appearances, stuff like that, because I felt like we're so fortunate. Yeah, we don't earn hundreds of thousands of dollars a week, right? But we're fortunate to be in a position where the majority of markets we play in are small markets, small cities. So we do have some sort of responsibility and impact on the people around us. So I felt like if I can get out into the community and show my face and, do meet and greets and talk with people, etc., at least I'm having an impact on people the way I maybe would have wanted to if I was playing the game. Do you know what I'm saying? So that definitely also made me still feel like part of the process and part of the club, and people knew me. It's not as if I was injured and didn't show my face and then everyone's like, where's Ollie? You know what I mean? So yeah, that also made it easier to, when I did end up coming back at the end of the year, made it easier to kind of slip right back in with the team and felt like I didn't miss a beat. You know what I mean?
Did you always feel that way, that you felt you should go out into the community, and whether it's coaching or just meeting with community, that's something that's an obligation to do? I think it's a requirement for us in this position to do that. But
I do feel like it is an obligation, but I didn't feel like I was doing it because it was an obligation, if that makes sense. It's always just something I wanted to do. I enjoy meeting people. I enjoy speaking to people that come from different walks of life as I do. I'm also kind of fortunate, the route that I've taken in life, I've never lived in like LA or New York. I've lived in, like I said, small, almost unheard of cities. Definitely places that I hadn't heard of before I came to the States. So I feel like I've got a real authentic experience of the US. And so I enjoy meeting people that are real people, and just to kind of, share experiences, share life stories, and give back. And not only give back, they also give me something as well. It's not as if it's just, oh, I'm this great guy that's giving these people what they want. That's not the case. You know what I mean? We're definitely picking each other's brains and stuff like that. So I enjoy it. Even in Portland, playing with some of the kids at Kennedy Park, stuff like that, seeing where they come from and the sorts of lives that they live compared to mine, it's great. Sometimes it's humbling, sometimes it's inspirational. It's so many different emotions you can get from it.
Yeah, I think a lot of players can take a page out of your book. And it's you're a great player, don't get me wrong. I'm going to hype you a little bit here. But I think what separates you from a lot of other players in the USL landscape is what you do off the field and how you connect with people. Because you're a fan favorite in Huntsville, fan favorite in Portland, and it's not by accident. You go do these things in the community, and I think if more players did what you did, the game would continue to grow at a faster rate. Because at the end of the day, that's what fans want. Mm-hmm. They want to have that personal connection with the player, because if they're watching Messi, it's never going to be a personal connection. Mm-hmm. But we're watching pretty close to Messi, so. But yeah, I think a lot of players can learn from that and really do that on the community, and just watching those clips from Kennedy Park, it's so cool. Yeah. That probably made the kids next 5 years of their life. They're going to be talking about the time Ollie Wright megged him Kennedy Park.
No, I do think it's important. Like I said, when I was growing up, I was obviously a massive fan of soccer. I'd go to soccer games, and for example, I'd go to Chelsea games and see Lampard, Drogba, Peter Cech on the field, John Terry, and it's wow, these guys are my idols. Obviously, we're nowhere near that level, but the impact that we can have potentially in these smaller cities can be comparable to that, because there's no other soccer team in Maine. Like I say, that's all the kids in this area are seeing. They don't have access to go and watch Kevin De Bruyne or Erling Haaland play every week. They're coming to watch us play. So we do have a similar, like I say, I'm not comparing us at all to them, but we do have a similar sort of, what's the word? Impact, yeah, in a way. So I just think it's important to, just take advantage of what you have, and I think there's a responsibility that comes with it, Like I say, we all dream of driving Ferraris and having big mansions as a soccer player. That's not the case for us, but we do have that impact on people, which I think is something that we shouldn't take for granted.
Yeah, I think too with the scale going off though, I think this scale, I can think back as a child myself, is you as a young kid, you can't understand scale. So for me, the high school varsity player when I was 6,
with the long throw,
might as well been Virgil van Dijk. Yeah, with the long throw, I could throw the ball 50 yards. There is no difference, because this is in my town. Yeah. I'm on the fence watching the game, and I think here it's no different. Of course, it's a bigger scale. There's more fans. It's professional. Say what you want, but it's this is to them the biggest thing that they can comprehend, and they're directly connected. You don't have Frank Lampard showing up at street soccer, exactly. But you have Ollie Wright, and you can get megged by Ollie Wright, and then go tell your friends. Or I 2-footed Ollie Wright this week. And I think that's the fun part about it, because there is no scale for kids, but also there's, everyone else is this to them. For example, with the Hearts is there was never a professional soccer team here. You had the New England Revolution that's 2 hours away, but here you have a soccer team that's winning. It's a huge community that's been built, and you have direct contact with the players. And I think, it'd be a shame if players didn't take the opportunity to meet with the people in the community that's supporting the club.
And I think that's the beauty of USL in general, is, like I say, it's smaller market teams. Even in the MLS, there's teams in Charlotte, there's teams in Miami, there's teams in, Miami's different because they've got these all-stars, but New York, LA, these are great soccer players, obviously, at the top of their game, but they're in these huge markets where, who is going to... A soccer player in LA is going to have nowhere near as big an impact as a movie star in LA. You know what I mean? So in terms of the pecking order, they're right down there. Whereas, like I said, these small markets, we are, I guess, higher up in the pecking order and in terms of potential impacts we can have on people. So that is one of the great things about being in the USL,
Is there anything you think is missing that we could do even more of? Anything that comes to mind, off the field type stuff?
What do you mean?
Player.
It's tough. I don't know. That's a tough question. I'm sure there always is, right? There's always things left to be desired. But I think That's a tough question, Jake.
Put you on the spot. We'll come back later.
What about you? What do you think?
I mean, I think. Wow, now you're making me ask my own question. I think if there's more of, like, okay, so this is a small example. Like a trading card is something that I've said. Mm-hmm. It's a way to connect, and the club does a great job in so many ways of connecting these kids. But ways that we can, like, put a name to a face. Because as a kid, I always collected baseball cards, football cards, all that different stuff. That's one example of, like, okay, how do we connect in the community? Now this kid thinks, because I have a baseball card, I'm the same as his baseball card for, I don't know, Mickey Mantle or whoever he has. And it can help elevate the kind of the perception of it. And I don't know, I just think it would be cool to, but there's a million other things. I think meeting people in a personal, having a relationship is much more important. Mm-hmm. But for a kid, almost it's cooler to have an idol than to have necessarily a friend. Yes. Yeah.
And I think that there's definitely a fine line between, you definitely lose an impact if you're seeing someone. For example, kids that I coached, when I was in Huntsville, I coached kids quite regularly. And, like, first couple of sessions, they're, like, in awe. And then after 6 months, you're just, like, friends with them. Yeah, you know what I mean? So there's definitely a fine line between I guess, a kid being, like, starstruck and then a kid just having a relationship with a kid. Or not even a kid, a parent, or just a regular fan. But yeah, I would agree. There's definitely little things that we can do that make it even better, you know.
Let's talk about your time as a youth player back home in England. You played for Fulham, Brentford, QPR, correct?
Yes.
Talk about kind of the ruthless nature of it and how the system works, first off, for a lot of the American listeners, and your path to deciding that, okay, I'm going to have to go to college to try and pursue a professional career. Yeah,
so I started playing soccer when I was, like, officially for a team when I was about 7, I think I was. Just playing local Sunday league soccer for a kids team. And then after about 6 months, I'm probably off there. Maybe it was longer, maybe it was less, I can't remember. But there was a Fulham scout at one of my games who scouted me and spoke to my dad after the game and said, like, you know, he should come along for a trial. So I went for a trial for 6 weeks, and then they signed me. So I was probably around 8 when I'd signed for Fulham. And to be honest with you, I really did not enjoy it. I kind of miss just having fun and kicking a ball about and scoring every game. And now all of a sudden I'm playing. It literally was like a professional environment. Like, you were only allowed to wear black cleats. You had to have your shirt tucked in during games, and it was just like, wow, like, what at 8? I'm like, what is happening? You know what I mean? It was just so intimidating for me, and yeah, I really didn't enjoy it. I was there for about 1.5 years or so, and after that 1.5 years, I went back to play for the team that I was with previously, and it was like, oh, wow, thank God. You know what I mean? It was like, and don't get me wrong, I did want to be a professional soccer player, and when I got released from Fulham, it was heartbreaking. I was like, I remember my dad came over to tell me, and I was like, nah, you're joking. And then I just burst into tears. Like, it was heartbreaking because you kind of feel like, okay, now I'm never going to be a pro. You know what I mean? And then you realise, oh, you're 9. You got so long to figure it out. Yeah, for real. But yeah, so I went back to the team I was with prior for, I can't remember, maybe 1 year or so. Then Brentford, I went after that at about 11 or 12. I was there for another 1.5 years or so, maybe 2 years.
Similar environment to Fulham?
No, different. Brentford were in League One at the time. So in England, there's like categories of academies. Majority of Premier League academies are Cat 1. Obviously the financial aspect. Then Championship, League 1, maybe Cat 2. I think Brentford were Cat 3 at the time, I can't quite remember. But they didn't have a lot of money. So yeah, it wasn't anywhere near as professional as Fulham. It was still a professional environment, don't get me wrong, but it felt a little bit less. Like, for example, we wouldn't train at the training ground. We'd train at like a local high school kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? Whereas at Fulham, we were training in the same place as the first team. So yeah, it definitely felt less professional. But again, it was just such a. I remember halfway through my time at Brentford, a new academy system came in. Like, there was a new head of academy, all of this stuff, who was trying to make it equivalent to those Category 1 academies. And that just took the fun out of it for me. I was like, this is just ridiculous. Like, you're treating kids as if they're seasoned vets in the game. And it's like, yeah, this is ridiculous. Then same thing, went back to my original team, and then QPR scouted me when I was about 14 or so. QPR was a funny one because they were in the Premier League at the time, but were not a Category 1 academy, which is rare. And that, I was getting a bit older at that point, so I think I was there till I was 16-ish. And so at that point, you're kind of on the verge of signing a professional deal or not. So it was more professional, but understandably so. That didn't happen, so I didn't get the contract. So went back to play for my dad's team. My dad was a coach. I went back to play for his U18s team, and kind of just was having fun with it again. Still wanted to go pro. Kind of just hoping a team would scout me or let me go on trial or something. I ended up going back on trial with QPR when I was 18. And this was the closest I think I was really close to this point to signing a pro. So basically QPR had got rid of their academy. So what's that, U18s down. And they hadn't got rid of them yet, but yet they were going to at the end of the season. So I was going there training with the U23s, and it was U23s first team, and that was all it was going to be. So the coach, I was there for, I don't know, 4 or 5 weeks maybe, and the coaches were saying, yeah, like, you know, at the end of it, the coaches were like, listen, I think I did really well. So the coaches were like, you're of the level, but you're not above the level that we've got, so kind of why do we sign you, which makes total sense. And he was saying if we had the under-18s, we would have signed you to the 18s, because I was 18 at the time. So things just didn't work out in my favour. But the coach, Chris Ramsey, he knew people that had gone the US route, and so did I. And I told him of my potential interest in it because I'd spoken to people about it potentially being an option. And I spoke to him about it, and he said, yeah, it's like he thinks it's a great option, this, that, and the other. And so I was like, you know what, let's just do it. Made the jump, and it was really, really fun. I honestly had no intentions of staying. I was like, yeah, I'm going to come for 4 months, and like, I'm going to hate it, and I'm just going to come back. But wow.
You never want to leave.
No, I never want to leave, you know? So if anyone's looking to marry someone, let me know.
Straight into the camera.
Yeah, green card. But yeah, it was in my opinion, the best big decision that I've made in my life today.
Going back to from the 8 to the 18 age, like a lot of argument against academies, you kind of have it creates robotic footballers because everybody's taught the same. It's too professional at a young age. There's not playing in the street like there is in Brazil and Argentina and all that. Was there any point during those 10 years where you felt yourself kind of falling out of love with the game because of the way you were training? And did you ever consider stopping or doing something else?
I didn't consider stopping, no, but there was definitely points where I fell out of love with it. It felt like a job from, like I say, 8, you know? Like I remember when I was playing Sunday League with my friends, it was like, oh, I can't wait to go to training. We're going to do small-sided and maybe like crossbar challenge, you know what I mean? Whereas then you're going to train in an academy environment and it's like, oh, we're going to do set pieces and tactical stuff. And it's like, that is just awful. Yeah, you know what I mean? So yeah, there was definitely parts of it that made me fall out of love. And then also it was so much tougher to make friends in that environment because you're seeing these people once or twice a week and they're all coming from different areas, and I was the only one from my area going to that club. So it's just like, whereas usually you're playing with your friends, you know what I mean, that you go to school with. So there was so much that went into it that made me kind of be like, I don't really want to be here. But obviously at the end of the day, I did have a goal. But you're right, I think it's far too robotic a system. Also, what a lot of academies implement is, let's say I'm the coach of the first team, let's say I'm the coach of Chelsea, and I have my style of play. What clubs try and do is filter that all the way down to the academy. But the problem with that is a coach lasts 2 years and then the whole system's changing. And so now you've got all these players coming through the academy that now don't suit this next coach's philosophy. So that's why it's so hard in the UK. And you see so many players that slip through the cracks that could have been legendary Premier League players but end up playing League Two. And it's not because they're not good enough, but it's just because sometimes they don't fit a system or they're in the wrong environment or whatever it may be. So I think that's the issue, is not always do the best players reach the top in England. And I think we have suffered from that as a national team probably for years because we don't see enough of that, like you said, that Brazilian, that Argentinian swagger almost of the game. It's kind of a bit too regimented. And I think it's coming through a little bit more now with the likes of like Cole Palmer and Phil Foden, etc. But I definitely think it could be more. I look back at England games from like the 2010 World Cup, And some of the names, I'm like, how were you playing for England? You know what I mean?
Ended up playing the most boring style play. Like, they're just robots.
Robots. And that's why England haven't won anything for however long it's been, 60-something years. Yeah.
How would you change it based on your experience from 8 to 18?
I think it's so hard to say. I think you need to let kids play with more freedom and be more expressive with the way they play. Kind of take out the whole, like, I remember I used to dribble a lot. I mean, I do a little bit now, but I used to be like JT almost, like just try and run past everyone, and you'd get in trouble for it. And I think when you're 9, 10, like just do it. You know what I mean? Don't pass to anyone. You know what I mean? And then because then you can. I think it's all about becoming the best version of yourself individually. Because if I learn how to play tiki-taka with a bunch of 9-year-olds, I'm going to forget. I'm not going to play with these people again in 5 years' time. So what's the point anyway? I just think, they need to nurture talent in a better way. I saw so many kids that I played with at Fulham, for example. I'll never forget, there was this one guy called Luke who was the most outrageous soccer player I've ever seen. Like, did things with a ball that I couldn't dream of. But he didn't have a great attitude, and sometimes he'd be late. But you're also dealing with, soccer's a working class sport, so you're dealing with kids that don't come from a lot, whose parents are maybe working 2 jobs that maybe can't get them there on time. So there's so many factors that go into it. He ended up getting released because of that. And I'm like, he's 10. All of this is out of his control. Surely you can see the ability and kind of overlook particular things and understand, his parents might not be able to get him there to training. Sometimes maybe one parent isn't involved in their life, and there's so many little factors. So I think, that's something that it needs to become less professional until it needs to be, which I think is probably around 14, 15.
Yeah, I think that's one thing. If you're a coach of any kid, like lateness before the age of driving, it's not the kid's fault. I mean, unless it's a very specific situation or whatever. But no, you have to overlook those things. So you've obviously gone the opposite way. You're the complete opposite of like a robotic type footballer. What do you credit to that?
That's a good question. I'd probably say my dad, honestly. He hated the English style of soccer. We used to watch La Liga a lot when I was growing up. We used to play a lot, like we'd go to for example, we'd be in my house, for example, and I'd just be playing with like a tennis ball sized rubber ball and like just kicking the ball out against the wall, hitting the TV, like breaking glasses, stuff like that. But he would just always let me do it because he knew that, if you can control a tennis ball, you can control a soccer ball. So I definitely accredit a lot of it to him. We have similar visions on how the game should be played. Obviously, he instilled that in me. So I would say that a lot of it is down to him, and he always just it's hard to explain. He just kind of gave me the confidence as a kid to just play however I wanted to play. And sometimes that can backfire. Sometimes kids need guidance and being told what to do, but I wasn't one of those players. So I would say that definitely helped.
I think touching on that too, there comes a point, particularly in Europe, obviously the game's growing here, but every country has a style of play that suits a particular type of player. So for example, in England, of course, you're going to have the athletes are going to rise to the top. Of course, they have ability, but an athlete's going to rise to the top versus if they were in Spain, they might be left out early on because they have no technique. And I think somehow you have to overlook those traits at a youth level because I want this type of player, but then the one that's not like everybody else, he's also useful in a system. And I think, of course, we're early on, all of us coaching, but I think to me, that's what you have to overlook is like, okay, this U12 team, it's not how I win today, but how can I take these players, given their abilities they have, magnify those as much as I can, and where they end up, they'll end up. But I think a player like you, like a JT, who you're not going to tell him to just play 2-touch. It makes no sense. You're taking all of their ability and basically saying, okay, it doesn't matter to us, versus, kick the ball long because we have a guy that's 12 that might be 15 and he's faster and stronger than everyone.
That's the thing,
You just completely neglect the development of talent and ability for winning a game with the U12, which means absolutely nothing.
And I think that goes back to your question earlier, Jake, is how would you maybe change it? is winning needs to not be the main goal, I think, until you reach a particular age. Because like you say, there was definitely kids when I was playing in those academies that were faster and stronger than everyone, but we're also 13. You've got kids that haven't developed yet, you've got kids that have developed yet, but eventually when we're 17, 18, it's all going to even out. And now you've got kids that were way more technical than that player that are way better than that player now, you know? But the problem is that those kids that aren't as fast and strong when they're 12, 13 aren't getting the developmental guidance that they need from the coaches because they're not necessarily winning you a game. You know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah, that's why I think, like I said, a lot of players slip through the cracks. You've got so many, even non-league level, you've got so many players that are technically perfect and could technically play at the highest level, but they don't because they didn't get the opportunity to showcase their talents to a larger audience. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Now, excellent conversation. Obviously, I think it's really interesting to hear the perspective because we have it in the U.S. as well. Because now we're going towards the academy structure, trying to copy what England's doing. But is that the right thing? Like from my perspective, I love playing high school soccer with my friends, and now you kind of can't do both. So it's like the question in America, but it's a question all over the place of like, what is the best pathway to get the most good players, but then also enjoy the game as you're growing up. But now transitioning to get back to you in terms of, so you're 18 years old, your coach at QPR, was it?
Yes.
Yeah, he helped you get over to America. Was it even a decision to go to this random school, St. Mary's in San Antonio, the Division II school, or was it like, it's Stanford or St. Mary? Like how did you end up there?
So I was at high school and there was a guy that came in with him and his wife, and they said, yeah, like we're on an agency that gets kids that haven't quite made the pro game in England, and we help them make the jump to the US colleges, etc., etc. So I got in touch with him, and he was like, oh, there's a coach called Matt Barnes that happens to be in London. He wants to come and watch one of your games. So he came to watch one of my games and spoke with him afterwards, and he practically gave me an offer there and then, pretty much. And they're a D2 school, and I swear to you, I thought there was promotion relegation. So I was like, oh yeah.
It probably should be.
It's like, good start.
Yeah.
I would next
I was like, D2, okay, so we'll be D1.
Promotion bonus.
Yeah, right. I was like, oh, perfect. Yeah, little did I know. Little did I know. Yeah, I really thought, I was like, yeah, okay, D2 will be D1 next year, but that wasn't the case. But anyway, so I kind of I didn't even speak to any other schools. But it all worked out, I guess. It worked out. So yeah, that would have been in like maybe November-ish of 2016, I think, around that. And then I ended up coming over in August of 2017. So yeah, we'd spoke on the phone for a few months. I had to do my SAT, had to get my visa sorted, all of that sort of stuff. And then yeah, came over in August to 110-degree heat.
San Antonio's not the worst city in the world.
No, it's a great city. It's a great city. It's just really hot.
Yeah. And what was that like? How did you find the level then in D2 compared to what you were doing in the academy over in England?
It's so different. I really struggled my freshman year. I scored one goal, and it was in the last game of the season, and we lost 6-1. But it's a great goal. I just run off celebrating. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, so it really, again, it was just a confidence thing. I didn't do well in the first couple of games, and then just the pressure was on me, and I was like, oh my God, I'm over here telling the coaches that I played for this academy, that academy, and I'm just not showing it, you know? So that was really tough. But I loved it. It probably didn't help that I was drinking every other day. And yeah, just living the American dream, I guess, living the collegiate dream anyway. But yeah, I wouldn't change it for the world, mate. Wouldn't change it.
Did you come to the U.S. thinking, okay, this is a secondary pathway for me to get pro, or were you thinking, okay, I'm going to just go enjoy my life living in the U.S.? And professional soccer was kind of off your mind?
I still wanted to be a professional soccer player, but that's a good question. It probably wasn't realistically till my junior year that I really thought it was a realistic goal. I think if you'd have asked me when I first came over, I probably would have said, yeah, I want to go play in college and then be pro. But I didn't really see how that was going to happen, especially being at a D2 school. But after my junior year, I had a really good summer in USL League 2 with Corpus Christi, leading into my junior year. And then I had an All-American collegiate season that year. And that was when it was like, okay, I had agents reaching out to me. I had, professional players reaching out to me, coaches, etc. And so it was like, okay, now I can see that this could be a an avenue that I go down, you know.
Was this ever a thought of yours growing up to leave England?
No, never. No. I only started thinking about it in 2016 because it was late 2016 because one of my friends that I'd played with previously did it. He was a year older than me, so obviously he went the year before me. So I'd seen like Instagram stories and videos that he would post online about it, and I was like, oh, okay, that seems like it's really cool, you know. I'd always kind of liked the idea of the US. I felt like I was very in touch with the US culture before I even got here, you know, music or fashion or movies, all that sort of stuff. I kind of always enjoyed that lifestyle, I guess. So the transition was really easy for me. But yeah, I hadn't thought about it until about a year before I ended up doing it.
So you 17, 18, 19, you're in college, you have the good USL2 season. Mm-hmm. Actually broke the record for most assists in a season. Yeah, a lot of questionable assists. 15 assists. Yeah, a lot of like rebound shots or like third assist, you know, hockey assists. But so you have that success. You're an All-American in college. Break the assist record in USL2. But then in 2020, like you're in San Antonio. There's a team in San Antonio. You don't. I mean, it was COVID year, so that was a little different. But you didn't sign a contract in 2020. You didn't sign until 2021. So it was a full year there, where you're kind of in transition, not knowing if you're going to sign professionally in the US. Mm-hmm. What was that season like? I assume you're going on trials and things like that, talking to agents.
No. So after my fall semester of 2019, obviously come back to college, and I was training with San Antonio a little bit, FC, you know, here and there when they needed a player, and then COVID hit. So that just kind of like threw everything up in the air. I was like, oh, wow.
You were still in school the spring semester, so you had no plans to like, yeah.
As far as I was concerned, I was coming back because I was only a junior in 2019. So this was my junior spring now that I was training a little bit with San Antonio. Then COVID hit and everything was like, oh, what's going on? Fast forward till November of 2020. COVID was still a thing. Their season had just finished, San Antonio's. And they were training with guys. They had a handful of guys that were from San Antonio, so those guys were training, and they invited me along. There was maybe 7 or 8 of us, and I was doing really well. Obviously, our college season got cancelled that year because of COVID. So, you know, I was just kind of playing wherever I could. And then it was December of 2020 that they called me into the office and were like, "Yeah, we want to sign you for the 2021 season." So yeah, it kind of just all happened so quickly. I wasn't really expecting it. I was thinking maybe I'll come to preseason on trial or whatever. But it was also a scary place to be because COVID was so new then. And I was like, is the USL going to still exist in 2-3 years time? You know, I didn't really know. And I had people telling me that, you know, collegiate soccer is probably the safest place to be in terms of my eligibility to stay in the country and maybe
taking that 4th year you're talking about.
Yeah, taking that 4th year, then 5th year. Yeah, you know, so and then maybe going down a different route, maybe being a coach afterwards, whatever it may be. But I was like, you know what? Like, when are you going to get? What I'm saying is, I could have said no to the contract, and then it would have never come again. It might have done, but you just don't know. So I kind of felt like, you know, I've got to take the jump.
You think you would have stayed at St. Mary's for the 4th and 5th year?
Yeah, I would. I love St. Mary's. I don't think I would have left realistically. I don't feel like I needed to leave. I felt like I'd created enough waves, especially in USL League 2, to kind of merit getting a contract somewhere. You never know, obviously. But yeah, I would have stayed.
Now this new Corpus Christi team, they're now in our league in USL 1. What was that experience like playing for them in USL 2?
It was great. I loved it. So I was there 2019 summer. And yeah, it was incredible. We had so many good players. We really underachieved as a team. We definitely should have gone further than we did. But it was a great summer, great place, plenty of good people there. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. And like I say, that was the summer that really elevated my game, you know. It obviously helped playing with players that were of the professional level, Arthur Rogers, Stefan Lukic, Salafu Jata, so many different players that, yeah, great team, you know. So yeah, I really did love it. And I'm excited to play against them again this year. I'm excited to go down there and see some familiar faces, and yeah, good place.
Let's talk about your time in Huntsville. We haven't really touched on that, and in particular the league, MLS Next Pro. So first off, It's the first 2 seasons where you started to become a regular starter. I think you played more or less half the games, played most of the games. But how is the difference between championship to Next Pro, that jump, and now that you've played in League One a season, what does MLS Next Pro look like, and how do you reflect on your time at Huntsville?
So my time in Huntsville was great. I loved it. I would say in terms of level of soccer, it is so up and down because the thing is that obviously notoriously it's a younger league, right? You've got maybe more academy kids coming up. But on the flip side of that, you've also got guys coming down from the MLS to get minutes or whatever. Like, I remember the first home game at Huntsville, I came on the pitch for a guy that was earning like $2 million a year. So it's like, wow, sometimes there are those players that play in those games. So although it is younger, there's also, you're never going to play against a guy in USL that's earning that money, but you could in MLS Next Pro, So yeah, there's definitely pros and cons to it. It wasn't easy. I think a lot of people think, oh, it's just an academy league. That's not the case. There's a lot of ability in that league. A lot of guys that will go on to have really successful MLS careers. I think probably more so than USL. I think the jump from MLS Next Pro to MLS is probably easier. But yeah, the difficulties came because I wasn't someone that was signed with Nashville, who was our parent club. The difficulties for me in terms of regular playing time and stuff came in the form of guys in my position that were maybe on Nashville contracts or academy guys that Nashville wanted to see more frequently play. That kind of hindered my playing time. Because to me, I wasn't someone that maybe they saw for the future in Nashville, whereas there were other guys that they did and they wanted to give them, which makes sense. At the end of the day, it is a business, so I completely understand. But I loved Huntsville as a place. I loved the people there. My coach, Jack Collison, I still have a really good relationship with him. He helped me a lot along the way. So yeah, I would change particular things about it. I would have loved to win something there for the people of Huntsville. I would have loved to play more, but I wouldn't change anything in the same time,
Do you think for other players around the league that, say, struggle in League One or Championship, moving to Next Pro, is that a good option for them to take if that's the only one available?
If it's the only one available, for sure. Again, there's so many pros and cons. The good thing about MLS Next Pro now is there are some independent teams, Chattanooga FC, Carolina Core, etc., that can kind of give older players more of a platform to perform on. I think and another thing with those teams is you also get good fans because it's an independent team. Sure. The problem is that when you go and play for a team like New York Red Bulls 2, for example, there's 100 people there because why would anyone go and watch that game when there's the first team playing? So that's the problem is sometimes some games we'd go to and that you just wouldn't feel like it's a professional game. We were lucky at Huntsville, we'd get 4,000 or 5,000 fans every game, so that was great. But yeah, I think it's definitely a good option. But like I say, there's just pros and cons to it,
How do you think your 2 years there helped you prepare yourself for this season with the Hearts?
I think it was the first time that I'd played consistently in front of big fans at Huntsville. So that when I was at San Antonio, there was a lot of fans, but I wasn't playing too much. I was playing 10, 15 minutes here and there, and I still had that nervousness about me playing in front of such large crowds. Whereas when I went to Huntsville, yeah, still the first handful of games there was that nervousness, but once you get used to it, experience can't be bought. So once I'd played however many games in front of that amount of people, I felt like now I don't even see them. Now I'm just playing my own game, and it's just like there's no pressure on me. I felt a lot less nervous, which allowed me then to come to a place like Hearts where there's even more fans. And people ask me all the time, "Do you notice the fans? Do you notice the fans?" And yeah, like you definitely hear them, but now I'm hearing them in a way that's supporting me, as opposed to, "Oh my God, I've got to impress these people." You know what I mean?
It's interesting that it's now flipped because I feel like people would argue you probably play a lot better now in front of the crowds than maybe going away to Tormenta or wherever. Yes, exactly. And it's interesting how you can use the energy of the crowd and not allow the nervousness to creep in.
But again, I think that's just down to me being a confidence player. Some players maybe prefer to play in front of no people because it's like I don't want the distraction. Not that it's nervous, but they just don't want to have that. They just want to focus on the game. But yeah, I really feel like now the crowd doesn't. I don't even play the occasion anymore. But again, this is my 5th year in the game. I'd hope that sort of experience would come eventually. You know.
I do have one question that I love asking, right? So if you had the 24 MLS Next teams and the now 18 USL 1 teams all on the same table, how do you think the table would finish? Like how many USL 1 teams would finish in the top 18 or top half or whatever?
I would say that's hard to say because I didn't half the MLS Next Pro teams I didn't play against, but I would say it'd probably be a lot more even than people think. I do think the best teams I've played against, excluding USL Champ, the best teams I've played against were probably MLS Next Pro teams. But the worst teams I played against were also probably MLS Next Pro teams. So I think it would probably balance out along the way. But the standard of soccer in the US is growing so much that, you know, year to year, leagues are just improving tenfold every time, you know. So, like I said, I've been out of MLS Next Pro a year now. So who knows? Who knows what the standard is? But I know a lot of people in both leagues, and all of them are good.
We've had this conversation off camera many times, and like what I've said, I haven't played in MLS Next, but I think it's probably an easier league for attackers to play in because it's more open, free flowing. Whereas for defenders, it'd be tougher because obviously you're isolated more.
Yes.
Whereas USL 1, generally speaking, the teams are more structured and organized. So for attackers, it'd be more difficult. Defenders, it'd be easier.
And I think that's down to MLS clubs wanting to nurture talent in a way that's less tactical. It's like almost just go and play. Whereas here, for example, an MLS Next Pro coach can keep a job if they, you know, progress 2 or 3 players up to the MLS, regardless of results. Whereas a USL 1 coach has to win. You know what I mean? So there's more that goes into it tactically and stuff like that. So yeah, I'd definitely agree with that.
I think that goes back to kind of what I was talking about before with countries or leagues and what the league is suited for. Like you say that with MLS Next Pro, I know like the Dutch second division is notorious for a ton of goals because everyone's encouraged to just play out of the back, play out of insane situations. And if the game is 5-4, no problem. Because the focus is on developing, building out, center backs can be good on the ball, midfielders can get in bad positions. And that's the focus. Whereas in this league, for example, it's like, okay, just kind of be really compact. And ideally, the way you win is just transition. You don't eliminate mistakes. You don't want to have mistakes. And this will suit some players, but it doesn't suit other players. A player that, say, center backs that's great on the ball, but you play in this league, you probably won't have so much opportunity to show that because teams are just encouraging you, go ahead, make the one mistake, and then we're going to win 1-0.
And I think that's the crazy thing about soccer is it's not always the best players reach the best levels because, like you said, there's so many different things that go into it. Maybe someone is born in just the wrong country. If, like, for example, if JT played in Spain or Argentina or Brazil, I'm sure he'd be at a much higher level than USL League One. Whereas if someone like can't think, if Mesa grew up in maybe not Mesa, if someone like, let's think, if Titus grew up in Spain or Argentina or somewhere like that where physical attributes are less important, not saying they're not important, but less important, yeah, he'll have to change the game and maybe he wouldn't have reached the level that he's reached here. So it just depends on player to player, but that's why I say so many players slip through the cracks because I know so many players collegiately that could 100% play professionally and just haven't, you know?
I think it's about if you really want to play professional, there is a team for you. You just have to go out and find it because it might be in Mongolia of all places. I wonder who played there. Yeah. And with that, why have you stayed in the U.S. so long? Do you feel, two-part question, why have you stayed in the U.S.? Is it because you feel this is your best opportunity to play professional? And if that is the case, why?
I think it's the best place for me to play professionally and feel like I'm playing professionally. Like I said earlier about the small markets and having so many fans at games, etc. There's that. There's also the lifestyle of the US I love. And also I've been here for 8 years, almost 9. So my life is here now, you know. I feel like I've already done my big jump and coming from UK to the US. I kind of don't really want to make another one, you know.
Just as big going back, probably.
Yeah, exactly. Like even when I go home now, I go home for, you know, Christmas time, a month a year. And it's like, it's great to see people, it really is. But there's not too much there for me anymore, just because I've spent my whole adult life here. So yeah, I kind of just want to stay and find somewhere where I'm comfortable, which at the moment is Portland, and settle down. And yeah, I'm not really looking to, put it this way, if I had to stop playing soccer or go and play in, name a country, Algeria, well, not Australia. Australia sounds great, but like the Algerian third division, or the Botswana, Slovenia, or somewhere like that. Like, I just wouldn't make that jump. Literally, I wouldn't make that jump for my career, because now I feel like I've had a 5-year career. Obviously, I want to play for as long as possible, but I don't want to jeopardize my lifestyle just to play, which is kind of sad.
Makes sense, but I think as you get older, I mean, Jake and I attest to that. It's not just about getting the next contract. At some point, it then becomes, it has to tick boxes. Location, could be salary, quality of life, level of play, professionalism of the league. And I think as you get older and the more and more years you have under your belt, it's like, okay, if it doesn't tick X amount of boxes, it doesn't really matter. I'm not going.
Exactly. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now. But luckily, I'm at a place where I feel like it does tick the majority of boxes. So now it's just about being here for as long as possible, hopefully, you know?
I want to ask you some similarities, differences between the sport in America and in England. So first off, how is the growth you've seen in the US since you've been here for 9 years, you said?
Yeah.
There's been significant growth in the past 9 years. What are some things that really stand out to you?
I think the amount of kids that I see playing like on the streets and in backyards or whatever it may be. I remember back then it was like every kid was playing baseball or basketball or American football, whereas now it seems like just every kid is playing soccer. Obviously, the likes of Messi coming in and Suarez and Busquets and all that obviously massively helps the game grow. But I also see so many kids wearing soccer jerseys nowadays. I just don't feel like I saw that when I first got here. And that's only, it's like I say, it's not even been 9 years, it's been 8.5. And imagine what the next 10 years is going to be like, you know?
I think with that, I think actually probably 10 years ago, I mean, I'm from New York, so that's my comparison. The bigger cities had the soccer cultures already, generally speaking, New York, LA, areas in Texas, maybe Dallas. But I think, I mean, giving USL credit, I think the growth of the game in the smaller markets that we've been talking about has made a massive difference. Like, would you have seen 10 years ago all these kids in Kennedy Park wearing whatever jersey they would wear? I mean, I don't know, I wasn't here, but I imagine that in a lot of these markets, it's made a massive difference.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's probably the most important thing is it's probably easier to get a sport like soccer into the big markets, but it's the small markets where you're really going to, you know, I guess make your money in many ways, you know.
Try to create like the Friday Night Lights, high school football in Texas, just all around the country for soccer. Yeah,
exactly. What about any funny, I'm sure there's some, when you first came to the US, the funny lingo or the approach to soccer coming from England?
Yeah, that wasn't easy. Honestly, it was more so off the field that I struggled with my accent. Yeah, there was definitely thing. I remember my first college coach. I hope he doesn't see this, but even if he does, he would like say things like in the locker room like P2+, which was his philosophy. And it just made no sense.
What does he mean?
It was just basically, it was high press, low press. So there was P2, which was mid press. P2+, which was high press.
Wow, gegenpress.
Yeah.
Like
and then
1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
Just make it simple.
I'm like, dude, what are we doing here?
He's going baseball signs.
Yeah, but like he'd be on the side like P2+, and we're like formation. You know what I mean? Yeah. I was like, oh, for God's sake, what have I come to? But yeah, he was a character. Great guy. Good guy. Don't think he coaches soccer anymore.
Ted Lasso-ish.
Yeah, very Ted
I
Lasso.
think that's the funny part, especially when you speak with kind of the older generation Americans who are really into the game and they've always been into the game, and then they're still involved and they're using like that old American lingo approach to the game where it's very much like this is a sport, but they have a good basketball background, so they're making up set plays in free flow game, and it's just like.
I also remember I also remember there was one of my teammates. His mum would come to our college games, and she would like be shouting "shoot it" from like the halfway line. And I'm like, that you just can't do that. Like, that's not how soccer works at all. But it's great. The one thing I'd say about the American fan base is they're really passionate, and they're like, even if they don't know much about the game, they'll like, for example, I know parents of kids that I've coached that never knew anything about soccer, but their son or daughter loves soccer, and now they've made it their life's goal to know as much as possible, or try to, or even seem like they know as much as possible, which I think is massive credit to them, because they do want to know about the game, you know.
And now the most important question: who's finishing higher in the World Cup, England or the US?
Is England going to win it?
No. I would love England to win it. And no, US isn't going to win it. It'll be an England-US final, imagine. No, I think England will get close. I think, realistically, actually, if England don't win it, it will be a disappointment. But that's the same, as it always is. But we are getting close. I mean, we have some good players. We have some really good players. Yeah, Euro final, World Cup semi-final. I don't know. I don't see. There's not many teams that on paper have as good a team as we do. But soccer's not played on paper, so there's that too. We've got a new coach now, which is different. We've had an English coach for so long, so now having a German coach is going to be slightly different, and see what that brings to it. But I'm excited. I'm excited, and it's going to be here, which is great.
Go down to Boston. Go down wherever you're living.
So yeah, we'll see. But I'm excited.
Yeah.
And reflecting on the journey right now, what things have helped you to get to this moment? So in other words, why did Ollie make it as a pro, and why is he still going?
I would say I made it as a pro. The cliche answer is, the people that you've met along the way and that have helped you get to where you are, which I definitely think is massive. So many people that have inspired me, have motivated me, have kind of doubted me. So many different people that I've met along the way. My parents always been in my corner and supporting me every step of the way. My mum, from a love point of view, not really knowing much about the game, but just kind of supporting whatever decision I make. And my dad being, the cool, calm and collected head, and having gone through a soccer career himself, giving me advice on what I should do, but still supporting me whatever I do, those sorts of things. I would also say I would definitely give myself some credit in terms of not giving up. We said earlier some of the trials and tribulations I'd been through early on in my career, even as a kid, and kind of just sticking to it and having a tunnel vision almost in a way. And yeah, along the way you kind of almost get swayed in particular directions, but kind of just staying on the straight and narrow for as long as possible. And yeah, I'd say those two things are huge.
Well said. We're going to wrap it up here with some fast feet questions, like that. Favorite player growing up?
Growing up, Ronaldinho. Now Messi.
Favorite moment in football?
Like mine?
Yeah.
Scoring against Detroit in front of my dad and celebrating with him. Or the hat-trick. Actually, the hat-trick. That doesn't matter.
Or this other one.
Yeah, so many.
Playoff goals. Yeah.
Most difficult moment of football.
My injury at RGV, yeah.
Best advice you've ever received?
Stay in it, yeah. P2 plus. Best advice I've ever received is probably something along the lines of don't let someone, what I'm trying to say. If someone doesn't want you, that's only one person. You know what I mean?
Game of opinions.
Yes, exactly.
Big time.
Best player you ever played with and against?
Wow.
Two separate players.
Wow. With a guy called Nebiu Perry, probably. He played for me with me at Huntsville. Suffered from injuries a lot. Hasn't had the greatest career as of yet, but talent beyond belief. Against a guy called, what was his name? He played for Orlando. I want to say Janino, but I might be wrong. He played for Orlando City B. Just should be playing for Barcelona. Unbelievable player. I don't know what he's doing now, to be honest with you.
And if you weren't a footballer, what would you be?
Not porn star.
I was going to say a virgin. If I wasn't a soccer player, I would probably be
You can't cut that.
yeah,
You gotta leave it. You gotta leave
a Love Island star. No, I'm joking.
That's gonna help you.
Yeah, right. I would be maybe a journalist. Yeah, a sports journalist. I wanted to do that as a kid.
I can see that.
And last one, any quote or mantra that you live by?
Not really, to be honest with you. But there's definitely some quotes that resonate with me. For example, I can't even think of any now. You put me on the spot here. Quotes. I guess there's that Kobe one. There's like "Job's not finished," which is kind of, I feel like that can resonate with anyone at any point in life because there's always more to do. Yeah, I kind of like that one because also in soccer's such a short career that even if you do achieve the maximum that you can achieve, the job's not finished because what are you going to do after that? There's always something to come. So I kind of like that one, you know.
Can I add one more question to this list?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, where did the Meg come from?
That's a good one. Huh?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, someone asked me that the other day.
I'm gonna get that Kennedy Park.
Yeah.
Your,
Yeah, there's a lot to choose from. Yeah, I honestly don't know. Like, I think I did it 1 or 2 times, and then I was like, this is just.
When?
Yeah.
As a kid, college?
I wouldn't be able to. College, I definitely did it. I definitely did it before college too.
Probably with the Sunday League team.
Yeah, honestly. But no, I don't think it wasn't something that I had like from young. Maybe like 14, 15.
So no one taught it to you. It just came to you.
I don't remember, no. But it's just so easy. It's so effective. Like, I don't think anyone, I truly believe, I would do that to Van Dijk. I truly believe.
And then you would sure
Yeah, of course. But like, it's like, you know the magic trick, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yes, yeah.
I can do that.
Card magic.
Yeah. Like, I can do that to anyone because it's a magic trick. I truly feel the same about the Meg.
Yeah.
I'm like, I just don't see how anyone could stop that. But obviously, when people in training and stuff, people know that I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
But if you're coming up against me for the first time, I just, wow.
Very effective.
Yeah, it is good. It is good. Yeah.
Well, Ollie,
Thank you for the conversation. I think this is, it's been great. I'm excited to see next season how you're going to top this one. I know you will.
Thank you.
And you'll have to meet up for round 2
Yeah,
at the end of next season.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we need the NC.